Well, good morning. Good morning on this wonderful Tuesday morning. So I'm hoping your day has started well, and I appreciate you letting me coming in the morning time, and you give me a little bit of attention. As always, I'm always encouraging you to share our broadcast with some friends, some family members, and so this is the first one we're doing. And are we in? Yeah, this is the first one for the month of April. So time is really moving quickly. And so um, I just look forward to being with you on Tuesdays. And so I got a couple of things I want to share with you. So I'm looking forward to doing that right now. And for those of you who are part of our TDP family and friends, the last couple of weeks have been a little challenging. There, we've had to walk through some things with people in our church, and but Sunday was glorious. You could tell. That it truly was a resurrection Sunday for us. And so old things are moving beyond it, and we are new things we are embracing. All right. So I want you to kind of get your heart, where we're moving into a different seasons on the calendar. We are officially in springtime. And so it's looking beautiful out there. We've had some wonderful weather. And so we're saying there are going to be some great things in the spirit realm, okay? I'm looking forward to being with you tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m. So make sure you mark that on your calendar and that you would join us. We'll be doing a live stream, and so it's going to be good. All right, there's a couple of things I just want to share with you today. And when I said we've been walking through some things even as a church, and then some I don't know how much it affected our church, but in last week I was involved in I did eulogy for two funerals, and the second one was Saturday, and it was a wonderful woman, young woman, mother of 5 kids. And so she had been battling sickle cell anemia all of her life. And so finally, she went to be with the Lord. She went to be with the Lord. And so her husband asked me to do the eulogy. And part of the eulogy was kind of even connected with something that God's been kind of talking to me about, but I could really see it manifested in her life. I told you, I just said she had been battling sickle cell anemia uh, her life, and so she was in. I think she was 44 years old when she went to be with the Lord. But if you were around her, she knew how to encourage you. She was such a blessing, and there were a multitude of people, especially those who were dealing with sickle cell anemia or they had children. They would contact her and she would stand with them. She would give them counsel. She would pray with them. She was just a wonderful, wonderful woman. And for it had me kind of meditate even on the thought, because there are things we go through and they appear to be unfair. There's nothing we can identify that was why she was someone who had to deal with this terrible disease, this terrible sickness. But as a believer, and because she trusted in God, she looked at it from a different way, and she used it to glorify God. And the phrase that goes in my head is, when you are dealing with something, when there's certain things that appear to be unfair, or things that we didn't do to deserve it, and then especially if it goes for a long period of time, uh, it it can begin to affect us how we see things. It can even affect how we see God. Lord, why are you allowing this to happen to me? I've tried to I've tried to live a good life. I've tried to serve you. And the thing that was even with this woman, her name is Amber Roberts. Um, she ministered, and God used her to even bring, where he would bring healing. So she's seen other people healed, and she is ministering healing. And at the same time, she is still battling this terrible disease. So that meant that she was in and out of the hospital, and it was kind of like where uh, the three Hebrew boys, when they've been commanded to bow down at the idol, and they will not bow down, and they begin to talk to the king, and they said, our God is well able to deliver us, but if not, we will not bow down. So it says, whether we see the deliverance on this side of eternity or on the other side, my God is a deliverer. And so that was true for Amber, that she knew our God is a God who heals. And maybe she didn't get the kind of healing that she completely desired, but she still walked in faith. And there was a glory on her life. And that's really what I want to kind of touch on. There was a glory on her life. When you got around her, she could encourage you. She was full of joy. She was full of joy. And even though in and out of the hospital, even sometimes in the hospital, she was still making jokes, because there was this dimension of glory. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I've got a couple of passages of scripture I want to look at, and the ones I'm looking at is in Second Corinthians. And Paul is now talking about these things. And part of it is he's talking about why people go through things, but more so how you go through challenges. How you go through challenges. All right. And so he is answering those questions, but he's also using himself as an example. We know the Apostle Paul's been beaten, shipwrecked, thought to be dead, all kinds of things. He's been persecuted, all of these things he's had to deal with. And he has discovered something in the process. And I want us to discover this as well. All right. I'm starting with Second Corinthians chapter 3. And this is we're starting at the end, what we're looking to have happen. And Paul begins to write and says, but we all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, we are being transformed into the same image. And we move from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord, we move from glory to glory. When we're talking about this word glory, sometimes it can be difficult to kind of describe what are we talking about. We can see even where Moses would begin to say, and he says, Lord, show me your glory. And I want to try to do a little bit to kind of talk a little bit about this when we begin to speak about glory. Glory kind of refers, here's one of the definitions I found. Glory refers to the immense, everlasting value of future heavenly rewards. That is part of this thing when we're going to be talking a little bit about the exceeding eternal weight of glory. So there is glory. We will be glorified when we become with Jesus. And Paul is even talking about whatever we are going through, it can't compare to the glory that is being revealed in us. Let's look at that passage of scripture that I'm referring in 2 Corinthians chapter 4. And listen, he's talking with this thing, and this is what I spoke to the family about Amber, is Amber did not lose heart. I want you to say that to yourself right now. I will not lose heart. Lord, help me not to lose heart. Paul says, because we have received mercy, we do not lose heart. And so when you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 and 18, and really what I'm trying to do is give you a little bit, not so much of an understanding of why you go through things. It is to help you go through them, to go through them correctly, all right? Because when people are hitting certain challenges, it appears to be either they're going to become bitter, they'll become bitter with God, they'll become bitter with people around them. If their body is filled with pain and they can't, or they've lost a loved one, or they lost a child prematurely, and they can't figure it out. A lot of times people will become bitter. Someone has betrayed you. Someone has lied on you. You have experienced great disappointments. And you're saying, I am doing my best to live for God. I'm being a nice person, all of these kinds of things. And when these things happen to certain folks, then they become bitter. They pull away. They pull away from God. They pull away from the body because they become bitter. But if we learn how to go through certain things the right way, I think you all are thinking, we can become better. I want to move it beyond that. When we walk through things correctly and we hold on to the Lord, there becomes a new dimension of glory that rests upon you. And that word glory, one of the things it talks about is weight. It's weighty. But let me get to this verse. That's really where I am focusing at. And again, I said 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16. And he says, therefore, we do not lose heart, even though our outward man is perishing, yet the inward man is being renewed day by day. And then he says, for our light affliction, and remember who's writing this man who has been going through all kinds of things, where the Bible even talks about the thorn in the flesh. And God tells him, my grace is sufficient. So Paul, he has the testimony to speak about this. He's lived it. And he calls it our light affliction, which is but for a moment. But he says something is happening with it, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. Something is happening in us as we walk through some of the things that we go through. If we respond correctly, if we again press into God, if we choose not to walk in our flesh, if we continue to forgive, something begins to happen inside of us. When I'm thinking about this woman, Amber, she was experiencing this weight of glory. People began to share at her funeral. about how they called her when they were diagnosed or their child was born with it, and they called her, and she knew how to pray with them and how to stand with them. And when they said, even when she wasn't feeling good, when I talked to her, I started feeling better. Why? Because she was carrying this weight of glory. And so I know you go through certain things. You go through certain things. I want to tell you, this glory that Paul is talking about, the ultimate manifestation of it will be when we go with Jesus, because he's calling it eternal weight of glory. That something is happening to us as we live for Christ. And when we die, we will be transformed into the same image of God. But I also believe it's not just waiting until we die. It is also being manifested in our lives while we're walking the earth. And I've seen it. Now, one of the things I was saying is this word glory, it is the word doxa, D-O-X-A. It speaks, and then looks how it looks. Paul is having a hard time completely communicating what it is. So listen to the adjectives that he says. He says it is an exceeding. It is an eternal. And then he says weight of glory. So he's not just saying glory, he's trying to describe it, and he can't find the correct words. He can't find the correct words, so he uses multiple words to talk about what begins to happen to us when we are with Jesus. But I'm telling you, it's happening to us while we are on the earth. So he says, so let me get this out. And he says, so while we do not look at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporary, but the things which are not seen are eternal. Some of you all, can you remember when I talked about learning how to look at life through the lens of eternity? The lens of eternity. That all of a sudden you begin to say, this betrayal is not that big of a deal. The fact that somebody said something wrong to me, it's not that big a deal. Somebody lied on me. Am I going to get all out of character? No, because I recognize it's a light thing compared to eternity. When I look at situations and I look at it through the lens of eternity, is this going to be something that's going to cause me to fight? Is this going to cause me to hide myself from someone? The lens of eternity. And I also want to just kind of look at it even from this standpoint as well. For some of us, it is not just what we are going through, but someone that we love, they are going through. And you'll see people get out of character when someone they love, their child or their spouse or a good friend, they run to the defense, but they come out of character. But let's look at it through the lens of eternity. And when we do that, something begins to change inside of us. I was looking at a Jewish rabbi, and he begins to talk about this word glory. And I'm hoping you're getting something out of this. But one of the things is he's looking at the word glory, and not just in the New Testament, but he is looking at it from the Old Testament. And in the Old Testament, it is not the word doxa, it is the word kabod, K-A-B-A-D. And what that word means is it means to be heavy. So glory is heavy. That's why he says light affliction, uh, eternal weight of glory. Glory is heavy. It's deep. It is, this heaviness is not so much about mass, it's about meaning. About meaning. When we say heavy, it is this heavy matters. It is like someone is to treat you, it is weighty. This person carries weight in the spirit. They carry weight in the relationship. It is glory. This glory, it is weighty. What is weighty in your life? This word means to be significant. It is worthy of honor. Glory is worthy of honor. So when we begin to think about it, where we're saying, so we see it in God, where Moses says, show us your glory. But then the other thing is, we can be carrying glory as well. And I want to be a glory carrier. Is there anybody in here who's listening to me? You want to be a glory carrier. I want you to ask yourself, what carries weight in your life? What carries weight in your life? And this will cause us to walk through things. And listen, so Paul is saying, when these things are happening, these light affliction, it's doing something inside of me. And so the same thing is true for me and you. But this is still connected to how we go through it. Paul is doing something, and I'm closing with this. Paul is trying to reframe hardship. He wants us to look at it through a different lens. Instead of just looking at, let's say, chronic illness or severe trials, Paul wants us to look at it and say, this can't compare about what it's going to be like in eternity. And listen, it's painful. I don't want to make small of it. I don't want to make small of it. But God can walk us through it. He can get us through it. And sometimes it won't be pretty. It'll be painful. But we're going to choose to hold on to the Lord. So it is reframing hardship, how we look at things. It is bringing hope in the time of suffering. When we are suffering, we're saying this eternal weight of glory, it's being produced inside of me. It's being produced inside of me. It is how my inner man is being renewed. I feel like I can understand why the Apostle Paul had a difficult time describing this. Because I know it's difficult for me. But here's the thing that I have recognized. You can recognize it in a person, in a time, or you can even see it on yourself. And this is small. The last 2 weeks, I felt like these were some difficult weeks. Not just so much with me personally, but things that our church was going through, families I was going through, that were going through. And it was like when I felt like I tried to walk through it and glorify God through it all. But when I got to Sunday morning, I could tell something had changed in me. Something had changed with me. I even got a couple of comments and they were saying, Pastor, you You were different this Sunday. You were so upbeat. I'm telling you, there was some dimension of glory that was resting on me, and I could see it resting on our people, what we had gone through, and that weight of glory was resting on us, and it was coming out of us. So I want to encourage you, when you are going through something, you got to start talking to yourself, and you begin to say, this is working glory, an eternal weight of glory inside of me. Sometimes you have to talk to yourself, and you say, you're just a light affliction. You talk to the devil, and you say, no, this is just a light affliction. My God, he's with me. Devil, you don't realize your attack, it's causing glory to rest on me. What you are doing, what you thought you were beating me up. No, God was turning this thing around, and it was bringing glory to him, but it was also changing lives. Well, I don't feel like I did the greatest communication on this, but hopefully something is speaking to you right now. And I want to end, because I'm looking at some of the people that are online, and some of you all, I know some of the things you've been going through. I know there are some who are dealing with illnesses. They've gotten certain kind of diagnosis, and it's affecting their bodies. There's some people who are listening to me right now, and maybe it's a loved one that's going through something. And because they're going through it, it's affecting you. Whatever it is right now, I declare to you that even as the Lord spoke to the Apostle Paul, his grace is sufficient, that you would experience his grace in an unusual level in your life, that you will experience the grace of God, that will carry you through, that will keep you, that the grace of God will affect how you see and what you think, that the grace of God will bring peace to your body and bring strength to your soul. I pray right now that you are also being transformed. You are moving from glory to glory, because you've chosen not to get bitter, not to be angry, but to trust God. That you've chosen not to blame, not to lash out at other people. I'm praying right now that maybe some of the things that you have gone through, it is working another level of compassion inside of you. That you become a resource for someone else because you have received mercy. You know how to speak about mercy. Lord, make it so in the lives of your people. I thank you and I trust you. And I declare to you all that some of the things you are going through, it is working an exceeding eternal weight of glory in you. All right, I look forward to being with you tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Tune in. All right, God bless you. And now go and take on the day.